You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile we put Ghana first. And when we say it's your most authoritative news analysis platform, we mean exactly that. Thanks for staying with us. Daniel Yaodomelevo is former Auditor General and member Operation Recover All Loots Committee. That's defunct. Joseph Dindiok Penka is former Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice and former MP Tempane, right here in the studio. Alexander Chumbarima is lawyer, Deputy Director General, Narcotics Control Commission, and Bobby Banson is lawyer and lecturer, Ghana School of Law, Makala. Thank you all, gentlemen, for making time to join us. Of course, the nation is in mourning. While we are mourning over the quote-unquote looting brigade, looting what is supposed to be used for the good of the collective to their individual private pockets. Allegedly, we've also lost a colossus. If for nothing at all, PNDC Law 111 has done such a great service to many of the vulnerable in this country. What do you say, Penka?
Well, commiserations, deepest condolences to the Rawlingses. Very unfortunate, even the way it happened. Very close to how it happened to the late Rawlings himself. An admission at the hospital within the shortest time. Gone. I think it's a very sad moment for us to reflect. But anytime you mention the name Her Excellency Nana Konadu Ejima Rawlings, one thing that strikes me most, and one thing I remember her for so much, is Beijing.
Yeah.
And that has always been the striking thing.
Clara Berry Kasati said something, that we didn't have media as we have it today.
Yes.
There was no social media.
If it were.
But almost every Ghanaian got to know about the Beijing conference because of Nana Konadu Ejima Rawlings.
And she represented us with so much finesse that we're all proud of her and her delegation and etc. The incident has struck the nation so hard and we're unable to cope. But we just pray that God Almighty will grant her eternal rest and comfort the family at these trying times. Yesterday, when I heard it, it was so striking. Quickly, I went to social media and was awash with the news, very sad news that hit the nation. And I think that this year has been most unfortunate for us as Ghanaians. We are losing quite prominent people who have contributed so much to this society. If you've mentioned PNDC Law 111 and the rule and all that.
Right.
Something, if you go and read the law well, and you know the rationale behind its promulgation, you give a standing ovation.
Were left stranded and children.
You give a standing ovation to people like Excellency Nana.
So we do this quickly, and I go to Daniel Yaodomelevo to hear him briefly on this as well, his message of commiserations to the former First family, and then he will begin the discussion with us on our grieving over the quote-unquote looting brigade. Yes, Chung.
Yes, sir. Yes, I think I can also not do different, but also associate with what my learned senior have said. When it comes to Nana Konadu Ejima Rawlings, she's a name, and not just a name, but a name that everybody, except maybe someone who just like maybe 10 years old or something, that may not really come to terms with that actual person that she is. But growing up, I remember when I was in the primary school, she once came to my village, and she came to commission a project for 31st December Women Movement in my village. And you know, in my village they were into beads making. So the women who were into that, she built a whole place for them to be doing their business, and then people were coming from Koforidua and other places to come and buy from them and then take it away. And she came to inaugurate or commission this project around that time in the 90s. And then, again, looking at the fact that she was almost all the time going in for women empowerment and children, it was something that, I mean, you can never take it away from her. She has all the time been fighting for the good of women, citing the fact that even the PNDC Law 111, if you look at the fact that we live in a country whereby most people whether good or bad, do not want to write will. You don't want to write their wills. And in most instances, you find people die without will. And when that happens, proud to the law, I mean, you're finding so many family frictions, so many. Throwing away of children from their homes, throwing away widows from their homes, and so many things. But at least she more or less being the brain behind this thing, came up with this, and then at the end of the day, till today, as we sit here, it has been very useful to most Ghanaians,
right,
even those who have been dying with will and partly having some assets, which were not captured in their wills. Mm-hmm. So yes, we wish the family, my sister Zanato and her siblings, our deep condolence, and we can only say that we are with them throughout this difficult time. It's not easy to be losing your dad within some few years, and then your mom also follows. Thinking that you were, especially when every indication points that those who have met her in the last few days were saying that she was very okay. I mean, right, nothing was wrong with her. Yeah. So it's very sad, but that is one of the things that, as we normally say, it is inevitable when it comes to the life of human. Right. You always have it. So we can only wish them, our condolence. Thank you.
Well, Benson.
Samson, I never met her personally, but know a few people that were really, really close to her, worked with her, and my experience with the Rawlingses has been with reading books. And there's no single book that you read about the life of President Rawlings that you will not see substantial part of it dedicated to the role of Nana Konadu Rawlings as a wife, and the influence that she had on a rather very tough man. And then everybody will tell you that, listen, once Nana Konadu says it, Nana, as they always say, becomes. So we wish the family
she impacted the whole country, the grassroots.
Yeah. That's what I mean. And the irony is that she's from a privileged home. Let me put it that way. She was not from, you would say, but she associated herself with the less privileged people. I remember the law school, the Makola daycare that she built. And once I remember Hassan Tampuli in class saying that he attended that daycare school. Yes, that time. And it shows the impact of some of the things that she has done. And we pray that her legacy will continue to live on in her children and their children, as it were.
And inspire many of our girls even more. Now let's go to Daniel Yadamlevo. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much, and good morning to your panel, especially my brother-in-law, Penka. It's a long time.
Tell us about your encounters, if any at all, with the Rawlingses, particularly Nana Konadu Rawlings, and what you have to say to the family and the entire nation.
First and foremost, I cannot agree more with the panel. My heartfelt condolences to the family. Nana Konadu Rawlings has been an iconic figure in the country, and working in Accountant General's department in the 90s, I was director of payroll. And one afternoon, I received a message that they said, Nana said I should come to her office. I said, oh my God, what has happened to me? What have I done? So I went to the lady's office, for once panicking actually, because we were told that there were two people we should fear apart from Rawlings, Kojo Chikata and Nana Konadu Rawlings. So I was like, what is she going to do to me? What have I done? I only arrived and she said, look, I've heard that you are in charge of the payroll, you have IT systems. Can you help me to automate some things and processes in my office? I said, this is good news. So I recommended some people to help her to do that. My heartfelt condolences to the family, and may her soul rest in perfect peace.
What do you make of Oral's renewed move, as people are saying? And some have said you had cause to criticize the slow pace at which things were running, and so you should be one of those who must be extremely excited at what is going on. Now, I've been trying to do just a quick, putting together all the figures from this week alone, the cases that have been to court or have been spoken about. Giftiowari's case, that's the NSS matter, together with her former boss, Osesibe Entry. We are now told that it's moved from the previous 500 and something or 600 and something to 2.2 billion Ghana cedis of monies stolen or misused through ghost names. The Auditor General had done an audit, special one, which earlier revealed that Osesibe Entry alone, was being paid as a national service person and every month he was receiving a certain amount, and cumulatively for 16 months he received in excess of 8 million Ghana cedis. That's 8.2 million. The buffer stock, Hanan Abdul Wahab, is it? 78 million. The MPA Mustafa Abdul Hamid case, you have over 291 in Ghana cedis, million in Ghana cedis, and then you have USD component of 4 million plus, 4.6 million. I try putting together and I find you have in excess of 2.5 billion that literally has been stolen if the stories are upheld in a courtroom.
Well, thank you very much, Samson. Let me say that even in my earlier discussions, I've always acknowledged the progress of work done or being done by Attorney General's Department and the allied institutions, that is the National Investigation, OSP, Yoko. I broaden it beyond oral. I'm talking about against corruption, not just oral. I have acknowledged that, and the status update given us by the Attorney General is quite commendable. My worry still remains the same, however. My worry is not about the speed of going into the courtroom. My worry is about when we arrive at the courtroom, what next? Because from my point of view, there are things which must change, or the legal framework must change to facilitate the early completion of these cases. One of them is the enactment of a law to limit the time frame within which these economic and organized crimes or looting or corruption cases can be tried. In fact, I take courage from the Supreme Court of Nigeria based upon Section 306 of their Administration of Criminal Justice Act and Section 40 of their Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act prevented, in-hearing appeals, that is, stay of proceedings. They allow you to appeal during the proceedings or during the hearing, but there is no stay of proceedings. So once a criminal trial has started, it continues to the end. And I think if we bring such a practice to Ghana, it will help us so that a case does not stay in the court for too long. Again, proving the guilt, proving beyond reasonable doubt that someone stole money, especially in the form of economic crime, in terms of corruption, etc., is extremely difficult because these acts are not done openly. These acts are not done by people who are as daft as me. It is done by very intellectual people, people who have a lot of control and power and can also influence systems, people, including even the investigators and prosecutors. So the principle of reversed burden, as implied or stated under Article 286, which says that from your previous declaration of assets and liabilities, if your subsequent declaration shows an increase in wealth, which does not match your sources of income, gift, or etc., then you have acquired these assets contrary to the Constitution. I think we should expand on that law and apply it to unexplained wealth, apply it to all corruption and corruption-related cases. Otherwise, it is going to be difficult. Two things are going to be happening. One, how to prove beyond reasonable doubt in the courtroom that even though we have 20 million in my Daniel Domilevo's account, over the years, when we put up the amount of money he earned, it will not even reach 1 million. So he is a thief. How to prove it will be difficult. And again, how long it will take before we come to the closure on that case is going to disturb us. And we know the practice is that the lawyers, forgive me, you people are lawyers, I'm not one, but one of your good practices is to delay cases till there's a change in government. Then you see nolly prosecutor, or we are no more interested in the case. So these are my problem. Why I said the last time that I can't see the tunnel before
and from where you sit, you say, you call this the low-hanging fruits as far as this kind of reform is concerned.
Exactly, because I think with the majority in parliament, it should be easy to pass these laws, including internal auditing, because we want to also, as we recover the loot, we want to prevent additional loots. So internal auditors must be made independent so that they can be a check. They are on the ground, they are professional.
Talking about internal auditors, and there are various layers of individuals and institutions involved in how these monies get, dissipated, or stolen or misused. And yet, at each level, nobody gets to flag the infraction. The Attorney General gave us an example that if you take the DRIP, the district improvements, whatever it is, equipment, he speaks about overpayment for that project, the equipment that was brought to the government, overpayment by as much as $2 million US. How is this a mistake? How is this an oversight? He speaks about, because we were supposed to be paid $176 million US. Instead of that, they got paid $178 million US. So he's ordered that they refund the $2 million in excess. There were as many as 190 pieces of equipment that was added and cleared duty-free, as in tax exempt. It appears these would have gone to a certain individual or certain individuals, or they would have gone to the company, the JA Plant Pool. And this, we have lost tax income of over 38.7 million in tax evasion. And that's not all. He speaks about over-invoicing of between 100 and 300%. They paid, in some instances, an equipment that cost $40,000 US. The country paid $48,000 US for that equipment, more than twice. How did all of these things happen when there are checks every step of the way?
Yes, checks are there in the public financial management system. And I keep insisting that no matter how robust the internal controls, that is the checks and balances, are in the financial system, one, when there are no consequences for misbehavior, these controls will always be undermined because people will always collude and seek rent from the system. So they will try and come together. And at times to some people, not that they are part of the plan or the plan to loot. They may not be part of it, but they fear for themselves, especially internal auditors. If they see this anomaly and they report it, most of the times what happens is that you lose your job, the minimum is to be transferred, or you remain on your grade or whatever. So for fear that the repercussion, and remember I always say, once you fight corruption, corruption will fight you back. For fear that they may be attacked, they don't say anything. I am not saying that all the others who pass, including the accountants, the officers who validate or certify stores people who claim that they have received, etc., they are not complicit. They are all complicit. But then in financial management, we always have internal audit providing assurance that all these controls are in place and working properly and have been complied with. But when the internal auditor himself also becomes afraid and fear for his life or her life and cannot independently check the system, this is what happens. That's why I'm calling that they should amend the Internal Audit Act, send them outside the control and direction of the spending officers so that they can provide proper assurance and with which they know that you can't transfer me, you can't sack me, you can't do anything. It is just a professional work that I am doing as an internal auditor. So I cannot agree more with you that the system at times is sickening if you hear what is going on. But because we have allowed people to get away with it over the years, people feel motivated to do it, always.
Is it not curious to you, because of where you have the privilege of sitting previously and now, that at the National Service Secretariat situation, Giftiowari Mensah is able to use a company she's associated with to allegedly fleece the country this much? Initially, the losses, uncovered through the Fourth Estate's work and the Attorney General's work was estimated at 548 million Ghana cedis. But now, by the subsequent forensic audit, it has escalated the figure to 2.2 billion. Ghost names in their thousands, fake names. And then the bank, ADB Bank, also facilitates the loan process, all of these things. And nobody is checked. Osesbe entries situation, you find the system by which he's alleged to have received the money monthly. All of these are systems that we thought were, because they are virtual, they will help to check, the corruption. And as much as 8.2 million goes to him by the, accumulation. The buffer stock situation, Hanan Abdul Wahab, the laundering of 78 million Ghana cedis through 7 entities linked to himself and his wife and staff. How did that happen? In Mustafa Abdul Hamid's situation, the extortion that he's alleged and the money laundering of proceeds through property and business fronts. How do these things all happen and nobody gets to check anything? That's what I want us to focus on.
Samson, it comes back to the same answer that I gave you always, that there are no consequences for misbehavior. People have gotten away with it over the years, and it keeps happening, so it increases. Let me say, what you are saying disturbs me, especially the bank. Samson, if you go to the bank today and you wanted 100,000 out of your distance, you remember the controls they put in place. They want you to bring your Ghana card, validate and whatnot, etc. They check. So when you hear these amounts are going through the same banks, it means the fraudsters are also in the bank, or the banks are also colluded. We must have to go there and shake the banks, because I can't understand how some of these things can go through a financial institution which is not asleep. So we may have to look at it. But Samson, do you know what I fear most? My biggest fear is if national service payroll can be used to do this, then what is happening to the national payroll itself? The bigger payroll. I don't know what might be happening to it, because the national service payroll is a small one. So the one which pays teachers, pays doctors and all public servants, I don't know. Only God knows what may be happening there.
So your wish now is for swift prosecutions. The Attorney General gladdens the hearts of many Ghanaians when he says, whilst the investigations are ongoing, parallelly, they are also doing the asset tracing. And that's how come they are able to tell, the buffer stock former CEO, the many, homes he has bought, and all the things, including even watches worth 5 million that he buys. The wife who has suddenly amassed over 60 different expensive luxury bags. Do you have faith that these asset tracing will preserve these monies and properties from dissipation and concealment, even if the trial delays?
Yes, I do have faith. But my biggest problem is not the speed at which we get to court. In fact, that is commendable. What Attorney General gave us, including the Minister for Communication, also gave some status update about 80 people or more being investigated, etc. That is what we expect as a country. But you see, even if we are able to secure and protect these assets, and we are not able to put them into the public funds or consolidated fund early enough, they are still denying us the use of those monies. And the worry that I have, which many Ghanaians have, is that if we don't take time, these trials will going to continue until one day there is a change in leadership or government, and then we say we are no more interested in it. That is the fear.
No, but what can we do? What can we do as citizens? Because we must insist that these wrongs should not continue to be perpetrated, so that a government changes hands and suddenly people who are being prosecuted, are let go because they belong to the government.
Yeah, that's why I propose that two main things we must do. This reverse burden must be established in law to say that once, Daniel, you are a public officer, your salary is 20,000. After a year, you make only 240,000, but you find 20 million in your accounts. You must explain to us how you got it, or you are a thief. Then that makes life easy for prosecution, so that we can get to the end of the game early enough. Again, if the law can prohibit stay of proceedings or appeals, so to delay the trial until we pray there's a change in leadership, I think it will help us. If in China, someone who stole and collected bribes, etc., to the tune of about 38 million, the trial took, I think, only 3 months. So why can't we give ourselves, look, we are not as fast as China. Why don't we give ourselves 9 months and say within 9 months or within 1 year, this trial must end, so that people don't steal, praying that they will remain in court until their government comes back and free them or take them off the hook.
When you read almost all of these stories, conflict of interest is so glaring. People, their own companies, insider dealings, using them to siphon these monies, allegedly, as we have seen. Sometimes I don't even want to use the allegedly, including where the Auditor General has finished their report on them. Let the other people prove otherwise. Otherwise, that is what it is. You have stolen. So when you see the widespread conflict of interest situations with almost all these individuals, what do you think? There's something wrong with the people who go into public office, right? The UK Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, just for underpaying, property tax, she has resigned. And guess what? She didn't breach the law of the UK. She only breached the ministerial code, which is not law.
I agree with you, Samson. The Constitution provides code of conduct under Article, I think, 284.
Correct.
Of the Constitution. And we have not expanded that. You remember the COPOL, the Public Office Holders Bill has been on the table. In fact, it was on the
Conduct
table.
Conduct of Public Officers Bill, yeah.
Yes, Conduct of Public Officers Bill, yes. It was there before I became Auditor General. Several changes and amendments were made to it. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo promised that he was going to give us an international standard one. It didn't happen. And now we are 9 or 8 months again into another administration. And I think this must be passed into law, because the average Ghanaian thinks that once you are occupying public office, it is like a busian or a family property. It is yours. You can use it for yourself, which is wrong. So I think we must pass that bill with speed, so that people are guided, properly guided. So people don't go into the public office thinking that the office is now their personal property.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Daniel.
I'll beg leave of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. We can end it there and come to the studio now. You're still here on Newsfile. This is your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. And my guests who are still in the studio, Pemka, Bobby Banson, and Chum. Now, I think I will take a break and return to hear from them, because there were some of the issues I saw them nodding in agreement, and there were some I saw them shaking their head in disagreement. Pemka was talking about civil law, procedures that we are bringing, civil law country procedures that we are seeking to import into our system. How does it work? How do you say that you can't make any appeal when you are doing a trial? Well, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Right, you're welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. My guests now are Joseph Dindiokwenka, former Deputy Attorney General, Alexander Chumbarema, Esquire, he's Deputy Director General of the Narcotics Control Commission. Bobby Banson is lawyer and lecturer at the Ghana School of Law. Daniel Yao Domelevo just left us, and he has a blueprint, what he calls the low-hanging fruits. You would have heard Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, you would have heard many people, the CDD and the Anti-Corruption Coalition all come together to say we need lifestyle audits, and we need what we call those unexplained wealth orders. If we got them, will be good. And the reverse bidding, once you get something which your salary cannot, sustain, or the Constitution says it is not attributable to your earnings, a loan, an inheritance, a gift, or reasonable earnings, we will take it back. Let's hear Dominic Ayene this week.
1. A 5-bedroom house bought from Chain Homes Limited between February 2019 and December 2020 at a cost of $1,625,000. Of this amount, $5,758,165 Ghana cedis, that is the equivalent of 230,841 United States of American dollars, was paid directly from the accounts of the investigated entities. The balance was paid in cash to Chain Homes by the couple. Now, in criminal investigations, when large cash sums are being used to pay, that is prima facie evidence of money laundering. In July 2020, the couple purchased a 3-bedroom house at Cantonments from Golden Coast Developers Limited at a cost of 600,000 United States of American dollars, using two of their companies, Fahauser Ventures, owned by the wife, and Fahauser Company Limited, owned jointly by the couple. The land documents were, however, registered in the name of their wife. Between October 2019 and February 2021, the couple purchased plots at Fanali's airport development site for 750,000 United States of American dollars. The total payments were made in cash in the name of Pfizer Said Wuni. We have the cash, receipts from the developer. Subsequently, in July 2021, Pfizer Said Wuni signed a contract with a construction company, Mendeha and Souza Construction Limited, at a cost of 691,650 United States of American dollars to construct the shell and the core of the building. This excludes the cost of architectural designs from Ansara Architecture Pty Limited, based in South Africa. The building sitting on 3 plots is now estimated to be valued at $2,500,000 United States of American dollars. Now, ladies and gentlemen, other properties acquired by the couple are as follows. A 17-bedroom boutique hotel at Gumani in Tamale, in respect of which the couple used Fahauser Company Limited to sign a franchise with Villa Monticello for the price of $250,000. In other words, $250,000. So they wanted Villa Monticello to run it as if it is a Villa Monticello hotel. So they paid $250,000 to Villa Monticello, in order to hide the identity of the hotel. But we've been able to dig in, and we've gotten all the evidence, including all the receipts from Villa Monticello. There is a 4-bedroom bungalow situated at Jowlo, Accra, valued at 4.1 million cedis. 3-story building, that is Chicken Republic, the Chicken Republic building in Tamale, situated at Estate Junction, Tamale. 5-bedroom mansion at Canville, Dorado Street, Tamale. We have also frozen all these assets and will be taking steps to have them confiscated to the state in the course of the criminal proceedings. We have no doubt in our minds that these properties were bought from the proceeds of crime. Within the period between 2017 and 2024, Mr. Abdul Wahab, in concert with Richard Samasanti and Bismarck Owusu-Boakye, orchestrated a transfer of 78,269,084 Ghana cedis and 4 pesos from the bank accounts of Buffer Stock Company to a private company linked to Hanan Abdul Wahab, his wife, and staff of Buffer Stock at Republic Bank and EcoBank. Evidence shows that the funds were instantly retransferred to companies owned by Abdul Wahab himself, and companies and entities owned and associated with him and his wife. Similarly, evidence shows that between 2017 and May 2029, Abdul Wahab, ladies and gentlemen, 7 entities linked to Abdul Wahab and his wife were used as vehicles to receive and to launder the proceeds of crime from Buffer Stock Company. The money laundering took the form of property acquisitions across the country, including real estate and luxury goods using the same entities. The entities in question are as follows: Alkani Enterprise, Aludiba Enterprise, Energy Partners, Farhauser Ventures, Farhauser Company Limited, and Aludiba Foundation, and also, and more importantly, Sortina Enterprise, owned by a third party connected to the couple. So Sortina was owned by Atieku Apau, who was then the Northern Sector Manager of Buffer Stock. Bank documents obtained by EOCO revealed that within the period that the suspects operated this criminal enterprise, Mr. Abdul Wahab and his wife and their entities became the largest depositors at Republic Bank, and the branch was at Labone branch. Lastly, we have frozen all the assets of Anan that I have listed, including a 10 million Ghana cedis fixed deposit account at Republic Bank, Labone branch. That is the liquid assets. They also, had a lot of bags. I didn't want to list them. The wife has over 61 luxury bags. All right, name them. He himself was buying watches, some costing as much as 1.5 million Ghana cedis and so on. We have taken note of all of them, and so we've done the freezing, including those of the vehicles. So on account of the foregoing, we have decided to charge Mr. Hanan Abdul Wahab and his wife, Faiza Seydou Wuni, with stealing, conspiracy to steal, causing financial loss to the state, using public office for profit, obtaining public property by false statements, and money laundering. The charges will be filed on Friday, and I have the charge sheet, the draft charge sheet, which I am reviewing here.
So, this is the other side of the grieving.
It's true.
Why are you struggling?
The looting brigade.
Why are you struggling?
Because it's mind-boggling. And there is this talented writer, K. Kujo. He says, you do not accidentally move that much money through a bank built to detect financial crime. You either disable the safeguards or you sit inside them. Chumberema.
Samson, indeed, when this thing started coming up, ordinarily one would have thought that, they may not be, as it were. But it's very shocking when evidence starts pointing to the fact that indeed it is what it is. It's very sad. we are put in public office to serve the 30-something, 35, 36 million people who all can sit in Narcotics Control Commission, who all can sit at buffer stock and operate. By virtue of their power, they nominate us to go and represent them in such institutions and serve them. And it's very sad when it ends up to become that. Through the service that we are delivering to them, we end up taking what belongs to them woefully. Every appointee, past, present, in one way or the other, is paid. We are giving allowances, different kinds. We are giving, in some cases, some gets even official apartments or homes or whatever to reside. So when it takes us to this point, it's just unbelievable.
He tells you why he calls it rumble in the jungle. He said, I called the criminal enterprise operated by Abdul Wahab and his collaborators at the buffer stock the rumble in the jungle, not only because of the huge amount of money at stake, but because of the fact that while food suppliers were wailing and gnashing their teeth due to failure to pay them for supplies to the buffer stock, and while our school kids were being denied nutrition under the school feeding program for lack of funds, Mr. Abdul Wahab and his collaborators were busy lawlessly looting funds meant for the program.
It's true. I sat on a Sampa FM one time when this issue of students not getting food, however, having gone to school, we were discussing it with Obi. And that time, it was this same gentleman who was then the MD or chief executive, whatever you give to him. At that time, students had gone to school by that time, I think around about a week or so, and in fact, the parents were complaining that the headmasters had said that they should now bring food from their houses to the students in the schools because government at that time was not providing food for them. Meanwhile, the one who was supposed to provide them with food or to ensure that the food would get to the schools and pay our mothers, sisters, and whatever who were fronting and getting the food to those schools, this person was rather expending our money at the expense of our children and our sisters and brothers. How on earth can this happen? This is the government that promised us that when they come to power, corruption will be a thing of the past. That was the promise that Nadu gave us. Unfortunately, what did we see? Or what are we seeing? How can an appointee of such a government have all these things? Meanwhile, records from what the AG said is that your salary from the time that you took office to the time I think you was leaving was ranging between 17 to about 30,000 or so maximum. So if you are within this range, senior, how could you have amassed all this wealth?
He left at around 24,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That I mean 30,000 maximum. Okay? How could you have amassed all this wealth? Meanwhile, you know very well that it is of conflict of interest when you have a company or you go to establish a company, you bring that company into your own institution and start awarding contracts to your company.
Companies, not companies.
Companies, thank you.
Seven different companies.
Who does
Alkwani Enterprise, Aludiba Enterprise. His name, what's his last name again?
Aludiba.
Aludiba Enterprise, Energy Partners Limited, Fahausa Ventures, Fahausa Company Limited, Aludiba Foundation, and Saltina Enterprise.
Can you imagine? You have used your own names and other things to form companies whilst you are in office or even proud to come into office, whichever way, and you are using these same companies to front in your own institution, awarding contracts to your own companies, paying your own companies and benefiting at the end of it. Yet, I saw a statement that he came out with that all these things that he is saying is not the case. So what is the case? We are expecting him to tell us the actual case that he thinks it is.
He says his lawyers will do that.
No, I mean, even if your lawyers are going to tell us, fine. But your lawyers, as we sit here, your lawyers have not said anything to us. Your lawyers have not come out to say anything. You came out to do, is it Facebook post or whatever, to tell us that whatever the AG has said is not true. So what is the truth? What is the truth? Have you bought a house in chain homes?
What do you want to know the truth from him? As in where he got the money and so on.
No, but he denying everything that the AG has said. So once you are denying, you must tell us what you think is the truth. Or what do you know that we don't know?
He wants to have a day in court.
Yes. Oh, but if that is the case, then you should have said that your lawyers will be writing to us. Or will be coming to us. You should have just said that I'll meet the AG in court. Having said all these things, I'm going to meet him in court and then defend myself. Which the law permits you to do. But it's very unfortunate, senior. Go to the other one. Or says the base case. And for him, I am calling on the AG that they should even do a forensic credit on him at KMA. Because even if he could have done all these things at National Service, then KMA, it would be worse. I am telling you. Samson, KMA, it will be worse. Because if you look at how the assembly, some of them, they run themselves when they appear before this accounts committees and look at some of the errors that they are committing. Then for his tenure of over 4 years or so at KMA as Metro Chief Executive, I'm sure a lot has gone on.
You are sure?
I'm very sure.
Don't say that.
No, I mean, see, how? But if somebody could be at National Service and could use babies'
He's
names.
a Christian. He was building churches.
Oh, goodness and
for particular churches.
Excuse me to say I'm not a pagan. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian myself. You don't rob others to go and give it to God. You don't rob others to go and give it to God. You put yourself as a National Service volunteer or whatever and took over 8.2 million. Babies' names were used as service personnel. The other party, Gifty Owari, was also using people's money as collateral. What kind of gang or organized crime persons are this? And these people, you will be a colleague with him in that government. You may not be having those things that they are having today.
The audit reports, special audit done by the Auditor General, says that Mr. Sibeentwi was paid 516,000 every month for 16 months.
Thank you.
Totaling 8.256 million.
Thank you. This is what this man was taking. Meanwhile, aside this, he was getting his actual salary as executive director or chief executive. I think this is what? A director general, right?
Executive director.
Okay.
He had been designated as a volunteer and assigned an e-switch card with number 1177042059 and posted to the Greater Accra region after his registration. He was a national service person.
Doing what? Which organization or which agency did you go to serve? How many times did you go to work? What particular duty or what department, which unit was he assigned to in that agency or whatever that he was that he posted himself to? These are organized criminals. They are organized criminals because you need to be an expert in criminality to have sat down and think of even using babies as personnel in order to steal from the coffers of the state. If not, who else can you be? Or what else can you be?
But I said we also need to pay attention to some place we may not be paying attention to.
Such as?
There's Saludiba and all of them paying how much to chain homes and all of that.
Yeah.
We are told how the monies get paid to these companies.
Yeah, sometimes from the agency's main account.
In certain banks.
Yes.
Republic Bank, Eco Bank, and immediately the money is paid, it gets transferred to the individuals who are involved. How did they outwit all the systems?
Okay, so it means that more or less they will have, they have either issued a standing order on the account, or they have some kind of contact within the banks who is always on standby, awaiting to operate on their behalf whenever money hits that particular account. It's just this two way. Or they have the system then. So you know some of the banks, they give you access to your own account by internet banking. So you have it and then you know that the moment this money is paid, it's cleared today, you may get an alert. So once he gets an alert, he can just sit by his computer in his office and immediately transfer whatever amount that he wants to transfer by himself. So it's either of one, either one of these three, that he would have used in getting this work done. But you see, the investigation should not just be limited to funds being shifted from account A to account B and from account B to C. But we should also look out for if, for instance, he was using bank persons or personnel within the banks to do these things. We have to go for those people as well. And at least
there was an individual
that
was repeatedly referenced.
Okay.
So bear with me if I read this
very well
of the statement from paragraph 6 of the press release of the press statement. The Attorney General says, paragraph 15, page 6 says a review of Saltina Enterprise Bank accounts revealed that the bulk of the payments which Buffer Stock made to Saltina Enterprises bank accounts, about 98% of the 78 million were instantly retransferred to Alcona Enterprise, Falhauser Ventures, and other entities owned and controlled or affiliated to Hanan Abdul Wahab and Fauza Seidu, that's the wife. Under interrogation, Mr. Etieku Apau, that's the individual I'm referring to, stated that although some of the funds received into Saltina's EcoBank and Republic Bank accounts were for the few genuine supplies backed by way bills and store receipt vouchers, in most instances, no supplies were made, but he noticed that Buffer Stock kept making payments to his company, Saltina Enterprise. He also admitted that other third-party companies, which our investigations have established to be licensed buying companies or suppliers to Buffer Stock, also made several payments into Saltina's account. He said he neither knew the promoters of these companies nor did his company have any business dealing with them. He had no explanation as to why the millions were transferred into his company's bank account, but observed that those payments, whether from Buffer Stock or from third parties, were made into Saltina's account on the instructions of his then boss, Hanan Abdul Wahab.
Exactly. So it means that...
So he has his company.
Yes.
Money is being paid. He doesn't know who is paying. Some of the companies, he has no idea who are behind them. And the monies are coming in.
Yes.
All he's waiting for is to get an instruction from his boss to wire the money to...
Exactly.
His wife's company or his...
Very good. So, you see, that's why I was telling you that. Now, because of this internet banking things, there are different ways that one can be doing this thing at his comfort. So, and mostly, the banks sometimes permit company accounts to be having internet banking platforms that sometimes the signatories to those accounts are those who have access to this platform, and they do all kind of, movement of funds in and out. You understand? So it is either this CEO was the one who was having the access to that platform and operating it himself at the comfort of his office, or he had a rep in the bank who was doing it on his behalf the moment he gets to know, because he is the one authorizing the payments from his end. So he knows when monies or checks have been signed that today I have paid company A. And at most, by 3 days, a check is cleared once it's paid into the account.
He says, according to the AG's account, at paragraph 18, that whenever such payments were deposited into Saltina's account, he was prompted by Hanan to expect the transfer and was later instructed on where to move or transfer the funds.
Exactly.
In effect, Saltina became a conduit for Hanan Abdul Wahab and his wife to steal Buffer Stock funds without easy detection.
Simple. So everything that was happening there, he knows it. He is aware. And imagine, how can you be paying a company for no work done? You are dealing with suppliers, people giving food and other things to schools, among others. And upon their doing that, you pay them. So how were you paying companies or other persons who delivered no service or supplied nothing? If the money were to be your actual money or pocket money, would you have been giving it to people without no work done? You wouldn't do that. But because the money is for the 36 million people, you think that you have every right as a party rep, as a chief executive officer, to tamper with it anyhow, anyway. The law must take its course. The law must sincerely take its course. I strongly believe, and I wish to see this case ending at most 6 months time.
6 months.
At most 6 months.
That would be interesting.
No, yes. I mean, there are some judges who will tell you.
It's impossible.
Oh, no,
I can tell you that. It's impossible. Don't sit on another TV and say it. It won't happen.
No.
It won't happen.
Relax, senior. Relax.
It won't happen.
Relax.
You are saying you wish. You are not. I mean, I'm just drawing your attention to it.
Penka, at your time under Godfrey Dame, you were seeking to pass this law for daily hearings of these cases.
Yes, I'm aware.
So if a case is being heard daily, 6 months is even too long.
I can tell you that you can hear cases daily and then 1 year you won't conclude. They are complex matters. I'm saying it's not possible.
Okay. If you are thinking about interlocutory appeals that will come to intervene.
Absolutely.
People are talking about this Edubuahin case.
Yes.
Where the judge has taken a position.
Yes.
Where all the so-called attempts to stall the case, he has frustrated them.
Yes.
To the point that eventually Atachian
had to walk out of
had
court.
to abandon, walk out of the courtroom. You know, the suggestion is that elsewhere, you allow the case to end, and you get after judgment, you can do the appeal and raise all the other issues.
Yes.
It won't work.
Let him go ahead. It doesn't come to me. Where it comes to me.
No, but
I've come to you now.
No, you see, Samson, you phrased your question in such a way that you are likely to distort my line of thought. But I'm not going to be distracted at all. I'm going to remain focused. I want to deal with the issues. First, my preliminary remark, Samson, is that any person born here in Ghana and is a Ghanaian who is against the fight against corruption or who supports corruption or looting is an enemy of the state. That's my preliminary remark.
Yeah.
Any person.
There's a proposal that we should actually make a law that when the people are arrested and the people who mass up at the investigating offices, they should be arrested.
I'm moving on from there. See, what I'm saying is that any person, be you MPP, NDC, or whichever political party, if your duty is to fight against those who are fighting corruption, you are an enemy of the state. And perhaps you are either possessed by witchcraft or sorcery. But Samson, this is my worry. The most important thing to do in life is to ensure that there is procedural and substantive fairness in every criminal trial in Ghana. You must ensure that the concept of fair trial, which is enshrined in our constitution, is at all times upheld to the latter. Anything other than that, for me, is a slap in the face of justice. So, my preliminary comment will be that the officers of the court, including the prosecutors, not limited to the Attorney General, must ensure that at all times, whatever you do, comply with the dictates of law, however benevolent your intentions are.
What's your complaint?
I'll come to that. Samson.
The AG should not be holding press conferences.
Let me take you to LI 2423. Open it if you have. LI 2423. And I'm going to read a portion to you.
Okay.
LI 2423 is the Legal Professional Conduct and Etiquette Rules 2020. Okay? Let me take you through Rule 40F. Now, listen to this. Except for statements that are necessary to inform the public of the nature and extent of the action of the prosecutor and that serve a legitimate law enforcement purpose, A, the prosecutor must refrain from making extrajudicial comments that have a substantial likelihood of heightening public condemnation of the accused. LI 2423, 2020. Very clear. Regulation 40 to FI. Very clear and unequivocal. Any attempt, any statement, any utterance, conduct on the part of a state prosecutor that has the likelihood of giving out an accused to the public to be consumed is not accepted by this particular rule, which is guiding us as lawyers.
Corruption thrives in darkness.
I'm just putting this across. This is a law. If we do not want this to be in our books, let's take it out.
Right. Corruption thrives in darkness.
If so long as it remains there. Hold on, Samson.
Yes, go on.
Because you see, as I spoke about, procedural fairness is equally important. Otherwise, one of these days, you hold these press conferences and out of anger, somebody will meet a person and shoot him. I tell you. Because the things I read in social media by commentators and even people of so much substance in society about the facts that were churned out by the Attorney General against specific persons. People are so much impregnated with anger and pent-up feelings that the persons mentioned, if they are met on the streets, can easily be killed. I'm being very honest with you. So we ought to be very careful and balance our search for justice and our utterances so that individual rights and liberties will not be curtailed in the course of trial.
You had...
And Samson, I'm moving on. Just hold on a bit, please.
On this bit.
I have cited a particular law.
Yes.
Unless it has been repeated, which is not.
Yes, so I want to get to that law.
I'll get back there. Yes.
I want to get to that law.
Yes.
You had an anti-corruption action plan from 2015 to 2024. Actually, it was done in 2011. In that action plan by the state, it said that you need to shine the light on corruption because it is corruption cases, because it is part of the way to effectively fight corruption.
Yes.
Are you saying that Ghana is better than America and elsewhere where the DA's office will make such announcements about cases they want to take to court and actually literally indict the people?
Samson, I'm very surprised about the comparison you are making. You see, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the Attorney General telling us that I have charged a particular person with these charges and I'm putting him before court. There's nothing absolutely wrong with that. But when you make conclusive determinations of guilt before trial,
before you file the charges.
Before trial, is that law?
Before you file the charges.
And you make conclusive determination, you think that is law? Samson, I don't agree with you at all. That is not law. You cannot make prejudicial comments about a matter you are here to take to court and make, even I heard him loud and clear, and I think he was completely wrong at law, to say that you will confiscate property during trial. You can't do that.
No, I think you see that. I mean,
he used confiscate, that during the trial, they will take steps to confiscate the property. It's wrong. You cannot do it in law. You can only convict. And on the basis of the conviction, you go for confiscation.
But you understood what you were saying.
Yes.
You understood what you were saying.
Yes, I'm saying that the statement he made was incorrect.
But later on he says
so you see, I say these things because, as I indicated, you may have a very nauseating set of facts, very annoying set of facts. And I could see even Samson's face this morning that he's so much irritated by certain circumstances.
I have read some of the Auditor General's report.
Which I agree with you.
The forensic audit that Auditor General has done.
Hold on.
I have read it.
See,
I have no reason to doubt the Auditor General.
Samson, have I said
the other person overturns the verdict?
That you have a reason to doubt?
Yes, so that's what the Attorney General has done.
I'm making the points one after the other.
The Auditor General says,
and I'm saying that, my brother,
SCB entry has stolen 8.2 million. The Auditor General says, together with Gifty Owari Mensah, they have stolen or misused 2.2 billion. Why should I disbelieve that?
Have I said you should disbelieve it?
And what's the wrong in saying
I am saying that the final pronouncement as to the guilt of all accused persons is by the court. Whatever you say and whatever I say will not constitute the guilt of an accused.
What about what the Auditor General says?
What the Auditor General says does not constitute the guilt of an accused.
Until overturned.
Yes, I'm saying that it doesn't constitute a guilt until the courts, where you now take the person to, find that indeed, and in fact, what the Auditor General is saying is correct. When the courts have come to that conclusion, conviction will arise.
Auditor General
again,
report,
let me state.
They follow search charges and disallowances, and people go.
What is the import? What is the import of?
So it's a verdict.
What is the import of Article 19(2)(c) of the presumption of innocence? What is the import of it? What is the import? Article 19(2)(c): a person charged with a criminal offence is presumed to be innocent until he has pleaded guilty or the court has proved that he's guilty. What is the import of it? So as soon as you file charges and you have your set of facts, you go to town and say that the person is guilty.
But he didn't.
Is that what the law says? For me, what the Attorney General
Did you hear the Attorney General say?
He's come to that conclusion.
Wait, hold on.
He's
hold
come
on.
to that conclusion.
Hold on. When he began, when he began,
he's come to that conclusion.
So just
That's
a second.
The danger.
Just a second.
That's the danger.
Just a second. When he began, he said that you need to be patient with me. Some of the things that Ora brought were complaints.
Exactly.
Complaints cannot constitute the basis for prosecution.
Exactly.
So they had to do examination and do investigations. He said some of the investigation. He mentioned Buankra and said so far the investigation has shown that there is nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Then he mentions the DRIP project. He doesn't say he's going to prosecute anybody, but he says, I've asked people to return money over invoicing and all of that. Then when he mentions this book, he says
that one.
This is our investigation and assessment. Anything to change.
That they should pay.
I'm saying even that one, go and check it. Certain revelations are coming out. Whether all the money in that contract sum or in the invoices were paid. For you to talk of refund.
What do you know about that?
I'm saying that, check out. But you are a reputed journalist.
No,
check
since
out.
you know, tell us.
Check out. You see, a lot of revelations will come up. I have said it time and again that at my small corner in my law firm that I'm struggling. One thing I want us as Ghanaians to do is to collectively fight graft. There's no doubt about it. But as I said, procedural fairness.
Oh, of course.
Hanging people and giving them out to the public to consume them with fury is dangerous to our democracy. Samson, let me draw your attention to something. Even you yourself, you made some preliminary comments about a matter that I'm lawyer for one of the accused persons.
See.
Mustafa Hamid, for example. There is no charge where a special prosecutor says Mustafa Hamid has used a company to launder money anywhere. There's no charge like that. There is no charge against Mustafa anywhere.
Is not alone.
No, hold on.
Mustafa is not standing trial alone.
Mustafa. There is no charge like that. Number two, there's no charge that Mustafa has
I made reference to the Mustafa Hamid case.
Hold on. There is no reference to any
case.
set of facts in that case that says that Mustafa has acquired any property. The special prosecutor hasn't said so. And again, even in that case, it's going to be very interesting. Even assuming without admitting that they succeed in establishing the set of facts in that matter, that money they are seeking to retrieve does not belong to the state. It doesn't belong to the state. Mustafa Hamid has not been charged with taking 1 cedi from government. 1 cedi in all the charges. There is not one single charge that says
the Republic versus Mustafa Abdul Hamid. The Republic versus Mustafa Abdul Hamid and 9 others. The Republic has filed 54 criminal charges against officials of the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, and several associated companies for alleged large-scale extortion, abuse of public office, and money laundering, totaling 291.5 million and USD 332 million, 332, and respectively. The accused are alleged to have extorted hundreds of millions of cedis and foreign currency from bulk oil transporters and oil marketing companies under the guise of official duties, and subsequently laundered the proceeds through property acquisitions and business entities to conceal their illicit origins. The accused persons are Mustafa Abdul Hamid, Jacob Kwamina Amua, Wendy Newman, Albert Ankra, Isaac Mensah, Bright Bediako Mensah, Kwekua Boaje Aqua, Prop Nests Limited, Kerl Logistics Limited, and King's Energy Limited. Vehicles, including tanker trucks, fuel stations, houses, apartments, and parcels of land valued over 100 million have been seized or frozen pending trial.
So this is the fundamental point I'm making. I'm saying that Mustafa Hamid, I've not spoken for others because I'm not their lawyer. And I'm saying that none of all these things you are talking about refer to him. The tankers, the properties, the company, the loan, none. None. What the prosecution is saying is that he's alleged to have collected of that amount of 300 million, he's alleged to have collected 24 million from one of the accused persons. That's what the prosecution is saying. So all that, you just hear the thing in the media and you go hang the person when you haven't even interrogated the facts. So, Samson, what I am telling you...
When you read the facts,
what I'm telling
once
you,
again, let me state that my reference is Mustafa Hamid's case.
Yeah, that one is true.
Because he's the very popular figure, his face is on that case.
You see, but when you speak that way,
there is money laundering, there is money laundering, there is extortion, there's abuse of office.
No, but that is where you get it wrong. You see,
let's go for the prominent.
Okay, yes, go on.
I need to conclude, but
yes, go on.
Let me say this, that I have not heard anybody from my side of the political divide who has actually said that they shouldn't try anybody for any offense committed, or organize people to go and say that don't agree for somebody to be tried. I said that person should be arrested.
All over
anybody who makes any such statements will be arrested.
Yeah.
To say that that's subversion of justice. Okay? So we are all out to ensure that we build a nation. And the APP, there are former government officials of NDC who were convicted and they are serving sentences. Didn't it happen? So why will there be a change of government and you now say that you will not account? Everybody must account. But the accounting must be done through procedural fairness.
Yeah, procedural fairness.
You don't derogate from the dignity of the person.
Procedural fairness.
Read Article 15 of our Constitution.
Whether
or not you are arrested,
what do you want?
Be treated with some dignity.
What do you want them to do? What do you want the Attorney General to do in his press series? Hold on, let me ask a question. In his press series, when he has such evidence that we have been sharing parts with you, he speaks to documentary evidence from bank accounts of buffer stock revealed that between September 2018 and June 2024, buffer stock transferred a total of 78 million to Sultina Enterprises bank accounts at EcoBank and Republic Bank respectively. The payments were supposedly to pay for food supplies made by Sultina Enterprise to schools under the school feeding program. He points out to you that Sultina Enterprise is an entity owned by James Etieku Apau, who applied to become a licensed supplier to the buffer stock company. This application was approved by his boss, Hanan Abdul Wahab, knowing very well that his approval placed James Apau in a conflict of interest situation. He is also working for the same entity, and these approvals are happening. What do you want the Attorney General to talk about? He has verified records, including way bills and store receipt vouchers from buffer stock, which indicate that only 27 million out of the payment to Sultana Enterprise were backed by supplies. The people they are speaking to are confirming all of these things. And he says that Abdul Wahab and his wife interrogated, and they corroborate some of these claims.
These things you are talking about should be presented to the court. Present it to the court. Let the court determine the authenticity. Remember one thing that is going to happen. Look, their legal team will also raise certain issues. Don't think that you just go and then say these things and then you go home and sleep and they'll become factual. The legal teams will say some things. Look, Samson, as I indicated, at the end, you recall that I sat here. If you recall, myself and you, and I made a certain statement a year ago or two when some people were convicted. If you recall, I said that it was a warning to those who were occupying what?
That's correct.
Public offices. I said it here. And that everybody you have to act with decorum and ensure that at all times you act with fairness. I want even my own government officials that they should be careful whatever.
Even when you were in office, you were issuing that call.
I repeatedly said it when I was in office.
You and Alfred Chuanyeboa. I remember that.
And I still stand by that. But I'm saying that procedural fairness, I just want us to be very careful. Look, Samson, have you monitored social media after the press conference? The names that people have called Hanan, he was, indeed, he may have had properties that Attorney General is pursuing him to account. Yes, I don't have any problem. But before he went into, buffer stock as CEO in 2017, he was quite successful. Even before he went there, he was quite successful. So,
who was quite successful?
Hanan.
Okay.
Quite successful. I knew him to have very, very, very big properties in Tamale before 2017.
Okay.
So people shouldn't think that everything that he's gotten is as a result of his stay at the place. Some he may have been as a result of his being a chief executive, which will be proven by the state. But he wasn't a pauper at the time. That's why the context we should put it. You see, Samson, me, as I said, you mentioned all these amounts. I've never heard, not seen, some of them I haven't heard before. I sit at my small corner and do all the sweat every day. But my fear is how accused persons will be treated by the public before they are convicted. And when you are convicted, we go after your assets.
Right.
At that particular stage, you have no right to even... Look, do you know that, are you aware, AG didn't say this, but are you aware that some of the assets he has listed, people are contesting the ownership in court? Are you aware? Adenta High Court.
Of those...
Some of the properties, people are contesting the ownership at Adenta High Court.
I am not saying, let me come to you.
So, something you haven't... Allow me to conclude in a minute.
Yeah.
You see, so my take on the matter is this. We should fight graft. We should fight it expeditiously. But we should be mindful of the rights of individuals. Because today, it may be a person that you are trying or prosecuting. Tomorrow, it may be a victim from your side. And we have to be very fair and ensure that whatever we do, we go in accord with the laws and the Constitution. I have quoted to you
when
what
Anyenini Boateng was found by the OSP and Shraj, that at the time he was coming into office, his accounts held, I think, less than 3,000 or so. And then by the time he was caught by Manasseh's investigation, contracts for sale, the account was holding in excess of some, 30 million or so. What did Akufo-Addo do? He dismissed him immediately. Why didn't he wait for the court to determine his case first?
No, hold on. So you see, as a president who wants to fight graft, you take the person out to go and clear his name.
But is that not prejudicial also?
No.
Is that not louder than
hold on. The purpose of it is for you to say that go and clear your name. But you cannot stay in office and clear your name. You see, that particular matter, I have the facts than you do. Because I was one of the first persons who saw the account details. And you know who shared it with me. By then I was in public office, so I can disclose this. It was one of my very good friends who just spoke to you this morning. I mean, he was one of the persons who saw it and shared it with me. And I looked at it. I had my own questions at that particular time. So you wouldn't know the details of what went on for him to be asked to step aside.
He was in office. But he set up a talent discovery company.
So that's what
then whilst he's in office,
you wouldn't know the details of what went on.
He's in office to ensure that our procurements have integrity.
Yes.
He's diverting the procurement to his company.
To his own company.
Conflict of interest. We are seeing all this, the same trend.
So you see, that's why I'm telling you one thing. Samson, you are a defense lawyer. You will take facts from your client and go to defend the case. The state has a story.
That's right.
And there's also a story of the defense.
Okay, so
it's on listening to the two.
So let me come to you. Let me come to you. Let me come to you, Bobby Banson. And let me tell you one thing. I refuse to wear my lawyer's hat fully when I sit here and do this job, especially as I'm talking to 3 different lawyers. I'm getting all the people who are bashing me and say it's being prejudicial, the Attorney General did this wrong, I must agree. I won't agree, I will not disagree.
So what's your position?
There was something I was going to reference. They said, transaction analysis of Sultina Enterprises Republic Bank accounts and entities used as vehicles to launder the proceeds of the criminal enterprise established by Hanan and his wife Fauza corroborated the claims made by Mr. James Tieku Apau. For example, a review of some of the retransfers of the funds paid to Sultina Enterprise by Buffer Stock revealed the following. Then they show 19 million payments from Sultina Enterprise to Hanan Abdul Wahab, Sortina Enterprise to Alkani Enterprise, 23 million. Sortina Enterprise to Faulhauser Enterprise, 500,000. Sortina Enterprise to Chain Homes Limited, 550,000. They are looking at a total of 40 million that was, paid. And then they have done what they call their contemporaneous tracing of proceeds of crime, which has led them to freeze an amount of 10 million sitting in his accounts. What do you say?
Something. Good morning. You said you are not wearing your lawyer's hat, but I'm allowed to wear mine, right?
I wish you don't act as a typical defense lawyer.
No, I think there's a lot that has run through my mind as we have these discussions and hear these things. For me, the question of how to solve or uproot or minimize corruption cannot be answered when we limit it to politically exposed persons and we try and make them examples, for lack of a better word, of how to solve corruption.
But they steal the big money.
No, I'm saying examples of
the big
how
money
to
that can
solve
build
corruption.
hospitals in our places and fix our roads.
I have no
they
doubt.
are stealing those
I have
monies.
no doubt, but
why should we follow the petty thieves?
No, I'm not saying don't follow them. I think that as a country, we should agree on a systematic procedure, a mechanism in compliance with either existing law or laws that we would pass so that we can address the issues to the root of it. For me, when I listen to the Attorney General with these press conferences, it emboldens my advocacy that perhaps it is time for us to actually decouple the office of the Attorney General from the Minister of Justice.
Okay.
The reason being that the Attorney General cannot be a witness in a case that he's prosecuting. So all the things that he's saying, he cannot go and stand in the courtroom to testify. He has to use persons who now have first-hand information. Those persons will be cross-examined. Now, the Minister of Justice, you use the situation of the DA's office. In America, they do not have a Minister of Justice, but they have a Justice Department.
Yeah.
And they have an Attorney General who is a political appointee. And the office of the Justice Department, they sometimes hold some of these conferences to give the public an update as to where you are. Now, something, in recent times, the Attorney General held a press conference in Edu Buahin's case. And then narrated how some things had happened. There were 3 accused, I don't know the number of accused, but there was a lady who was also, the narration was that she had also participated and what have you. The Attorney General did that. Just before trial started, the Attorney General has done a U-turn on that lady and now using the lady as a prosecution witness.
Is that a U-turn?
No,
that is benefit.
No,
and he has told us that in almost all of these cases,
yes,
they have what we call the small thieves who know all the things that went on. So if there are any deals they are cutting, the deals they are cutting is that come and help us to win against the other person so that you go free.
But what I'm saying is that in the initial press conference, the woman was also presented as somebody who had participated in the crime. So the public saw the woman as an accomplice to a crime. And yet when the matter went to court, the Attorney General now realizes that we need this woman as a prosecution witness.
That doesn't change the facts.
It doesn't change. No, but you are not prosecuting her.
It changes her place. We are using the small fish to get the bigger fish.
Samson, please, I beg you. If you prepare a charge sheet and you say Bobby Banson, count 1, Samson Lardy, count 3, Mr. Tenka, count 4, and you say that these are the offenses that we have committed, before you file the charges, you hold a press conference and say, we have done A, B, C, D. And then the public will react based on what you told us. Then when you file the charges and the trial starts, you remove Bobby Banson as an accused person and then now a prosecution witness. You are not using me as a prosecution witness and later ask for me to be jailed. So the story has changed.
If Bobby Banson has
amended the charge sheet.
That is what I'm trying to say.
If Bobby Banson has a good lawyer, or let's say a very ethical lawyer, who says, look, Attorney General, I beg you, my clients are spoken to me. She admits that she did A, B, C, D. Please help us out. We are ready to testify to help you catch the bigger fish for the 48 or 9 million. So leave our small
Will that
little
reverse?
No, but
will that reverse the press conference?
It doesn't change the facts. It is only the circumstance of the individual.
I am only trying to say that there is an inherent risk with the nature and the content of the press conference. That is what I'm trying to say. That there's an inherent risk because the story or the circumstances as was changed in the case of Mildred may affect other people that have been, you have been traveling the globe. You know what the DA's office do in the US when they have prosecutions to do, how they come out and come and say, I'm talking about the Department of Justice and those district attorneys. That is why I said... They come and say, we have ABC. When Trump's issues came up, we had, they'll do press conferences before they file or even after they file, they do press, and tell us that he's a thief. That is why I'm saying that it may be better.
Please correct that thing. From the morning. Samson. Hold on, please. Don't mislead our viewers and listeners. You see, you are one person that I hold so much in high esteem. I beg you. The Americans say they don't come and hold a press conference and say the person is a thief. That's not what they say. They don't do prejudicial comments. They don't do that what they do is to come and read out the charges and say we are ready to go to court. They don't call a person a thief when he has not been convicted. You can only call him a thief when he has been convicted. Until then, he's suspected. Please.
So the point
that's the law.
Is that
you may not be happy with it. That's the law. That's the law.
Perhaps
we are not speaking English. We are speaking law. Please.
Perhaps it may be necessary for us to push the agenda of decoupling the two offices. The Minister of Justice may be in a better position to be able to give the public maybe some of these announcements and leave the Office of the Attorney General to be able to give or in that capacity as they... I think that if we do not have a systematic approach, we may be having problems. Now, when the Attorney General said most of the... Okay, he didn't say most, but some of the documents that were presented to them from the oral team, and this is in reaction to what the former Auditor General said this morning, they found out that they didn't have evidence. And I had always made the point that the concept of recovery of all public loots is one that must be supported by every well-meaning Ghanaian. But in an attempt to implement that, we must not forgo what the existing legal structures say.
That's the point.
Now, if you look at how oral even started operating, I had raised the point, what was the legal ambit within which oral operated? Because you see, we have the Whistleblowers Act that provides for the mechanism for persons to disclose information when they think there has been a crime or suspicion of crime having been committed. And the Whistleblowers Act provided for the mechanism and the procedure for disclosing these allegations to the right entities for them to investigate. Now, the Whistleblowers Act says that when these disclosures are made, they should be recorded in the form they are made and then transmitted to the Attorney General's office or whatever state institution is responsible within 7 days. Now, you have an issue where a group of 5, 6, 7, I don't remember the number of persons who were members of the oral team, said that they received complaints from the public. That they themselves decided to put together the complaint and then now submit it. Now you have an idea of, okay, somebody comes to say A, B, C, D has happened. They themselves put it together the way they deem fit and then present it to the AG's office. Now the AG will look at it, and I am not surprised that they've come to that conclusion, that it will be difficult to prosecute on some of these complaints. As a country, we cannot uproot corruption based on propaganda. For me, that is a fact. And whether it is MPP, whether it is NDC, the moment you allow... The process are propaganda for you? No, I'm not saying this process. I'm making a general statement. The process. The press conferences that they hold. No. I'm not saying the Attorney General's press conference are propaganda. It is okay for the Attorney General to announce to us, these are the steps that we are taking in the discharge of my obligation. I have no problem with him taking that step.
because he's a public appointee and the public, even the OSP.
Where do they cross the line?
When you make conclusions of facts.
Conclusions.
Because you'll be appearing before a judge and presenting your case.
I know the facts, but I should say they are not facts.
No.
I don't believe in them.
No.
Why am I prosecuting in the first place? I'm prosecuting because I believe in the case.
I am saying that the Attorney General, with all his experience, has a right to determine the manner and the style. I will not begrudge him. It is his case. I cannot direct him how to do his press conference. But I have just cited to you an inherent risk in this approach in the Mildred case. I have just used that as a perfect example. That what then happened to the statements that were made earlier in these press conferences, when 2 months down the line, you say the circumstances have changed.
The circumstances for the individual.
Exactly, for the individual.
Mildred was charged for, I think, conspiracy.
But the punishment for conspiracy is the same as the substantive offense.
That's right.
In that case.
No.
Anyway,
yes. So if
Samson, why didn't they let her do plea bargain? They will convict her and use her as a witness. Why didn't they do that?
But you have been a deputy AG before.
Why didn't they do that?
He's the one doing this case and he goes on what he was. Exactly what is going to happen.
It's how successful she has been at bargaining.
no, Samson, the other
He says, if you convict me, I won't testify for you.
Exactly. He needs people to tell.
That's what I'm saying.
Because if it's my client, I'll insist that if you want us, we won't come for conviction.
It is fair.
Yeah.
It is fair. But my point is that what has happened to the initial delivery, then subsequent change in circumstances, so that in him making these press conferences, he may want to be mindful of the possibility of changing circumstances, so that the statement that you make.
What do you guys? And this thing is being turned into the press conferences rather than the meat of the situation. You know, it's been said that the most effective way to fight corruption is name, shame, and jail.
Within the context of applicable law.
Correct.
Yes, that's key. Otherwise, you'll be building a system.
Can you hear my question?
Correct. Yes.
Can you hear my question? So my question is, how should the Attorney General stop these press conferences? If he should not stop, how should he do them?
He should
because I am very familiar with how in the United States, in Canada, in parts of Europe, you know, this is common. Prosecutors, how they announce indictments or charges, particularly in major cases involving public officials, organized crime, and national security. They explain the nature of the charges, they explain the evidence supporting them, and then they talk about the next steps that they have to do, and this is intended to reinforce public trust by demonstrating transparency and accountability in the justice system. Of course, I will admit that in the US, the district attorneys and so on, when they are doing the UK as well, the Crown prosecutors, when they are doing this, they do it within certain ethical and legal constraints.
Absolutely. That's all I've said this morning. That's all that I have been saying this morning.
And I support the weekly and the monthly report of what is going on. Yes. But you see, you'll be now presenting your case before a judge.
Yes.
And so if you make conclusions of facts, and I like the phrase you use, and I keep borrowing it, and there are changing circumstances, what then happens is like you've what the chiefs will say, what into see how to form now after.
What's wrong with that?
No. There's everything.
They can always come back and say we had this and but now.
Let me tell you what is wrong with that.
We are sorry.
Let me tell you what is wrong with that. My senior colleague here made statements that if this is what Mr. Osesibe is alleged to have done at national service, then he's saying then that they should go to his time at KMA and go and audit him.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
No, he's making these statements based on the publications by the Aegis Department.
Publication of an audit report, forensic audit report.
No. I'm saying that based on the encounters from the Aegis Department.
The AG is relying on a forensic audit.
Wait, Samson.
Until that audit is overturned, is conclusive of the person's wrongdoing.
Samson, I heard your...
Does it constitute guilt?
Until it has been impeached.
Does it constitute guilt?
I heard your submission on the Auditor General's report.
The offense can be named.
We are in this country when the Zoom Lion matter. The Auditor General came out with a report and surcharged. He went to the Supreme Court and it was quashed. In this country.
It has happened.
It has happened more than once.
But again, without suggesting this was the case,
yes,
you and I know as lawyers with experience that it's not all the time that somebody is acquitted and discharged that they are actually not guilty.
Of course.
But procedural fairness is as good as substantive fairness in our law. That is why the Constitution provides when you arrest the person, you must recite to the person why he is right, blah, blah, blah. If you do not do that...
You endorse this approach to fighting corruption. So what is your problem? In the last 5 years, the Auditor General's report over the last 5 years show cumulatively that public officials have stolen and misused almost 80 billion Ghana cedis.
And nothing has happened.
When you went to the IMF, how much did you go for? Only $3 billion US.
I completely agree with you.
The people who give you money every year in this country to sustain what you do, they say every year in excess of $3 billion US is unaccounted for. Now we know that figure is about $5 billion US.
Samson,
how do you want to fight this?
Let me correct something.
Yes.
Again, this issue has always been talked about, and we misinform the public. I was in Parliament, and this issue has ever come up, and I commented on it. It is not true that those monies are stolen. It is not true. Those billions you see there, it is not true. Some of them, you see, money was supposed to be used to build a school, and you go and use and buy a car. You have misapplied it.
Misapplied.
So it will all be part of that billion you're talking about.
I said,
but it is
they say
stealing.
It's unaccounted for. The Auditor General in the report says irregularities have led to this. And yet he says what? He can recover about 80%. What is he going to recover? Irregularities. He's going to recover stolen money.
Yeah. Let me indicate this to you. They have a very tall order if they go to court. I'm telling you that in most of the cases that I have looked at in the Auditor General's report, it is normally the case that you budget for a particular thing, you don't do it, and you do another thing. That's misapplication of funds. And they will lump all those things into the irregularities. But when you prosecute such a person, you can't convict him.
Samson, the point I have been making is that I am all for every attempt to fight corruption. But I'm saying that if I'm not saying this is happening now, but if as a society, as a country, we only do knee-jerk reactions, we will only be painting the debt, and then when it rains, it will reveal itself again. We should sit down and look at the fundamental issues that result embolden and encourage these corrupt practices, and then we uproot them.
If somebody feels accused, they can also react. As we are told now, the JA plant pool, they are saying that the alleged $2 million overpayment is actually due to clerical error by the PPA and not that they have stolen any money. They said that the alleged 38 million tax evasion is also false. Because the equipment involved were for maintenance and support services. Alleged over invoicing is false, and price their price was lower, whatever. So they also have the opportunity.
They've even added something.
What's the problem?
They've even added something. I didn't want to say that, but you have said it. So they've even added that they have not been fully paid. So to say they are going to refund means they have been fully paid. So even if it is established, you only withhold it. You don't refund.
You set off.
Yeah, set off. That's all.
Yeah. Can we move away from press conference propriety or not and ask you the question that this week, the revelations by the state organizations from the OSP's own, from the Oral's own, is taking us to in excess of 2.5 billion potentially lost to the state. And I ask the question, how did they escape all the processes of checks?
Samson,
how do you feel about it?
Very bad. That as a country, we keep repeating this cycle. And I was trying to make the point that for me, if we don't go to the root of it, next year, next 2 years, we'll come and speak about these same things. I have always argued that one sure way of curbing the fight, how people, political actors, are bold to engage in corrupt practices, Honorable shared something with me off air. I think all of us heard it. How once you are appointed into public office, every Friday, I have some friends who are there. Friday, they don't even want to go to their office.
Discourage it.
Because people will come and line up.
Don't encourage it, discourage it.
They will report you to the party.
If you discourage
they will report you to the party.
Your political options are limited now.
They will get you out.
And I think,
grassroots.
We have.
Would you rather be ethical or be pushed to be corrupt? Is there an excuse for corruption?
No. Would we rather enforce the laws on election in Ghana? That would sieve how political parties and political actors get elected are financed.
That's a good question.
I have always maintained if we don't address
to get
enforcement of the political laws,
to mount a successful presidential election campaign in Ghana, you need to spend not less than $200 million.
Who has that?
Where do we get that money from?
It used to be about 100 million. It moved to 150 million, and now the researchers say it is about $200 million.
Look at
where do they get that money from?
Look at the primaries before you do the primaries.
Yes.
Before you go for the main election. Meanwhile, we have the law, the Electoral Commission law.
I ask you a question. Where do they get that money from?
I have never stood for election.
They steal it.
I have never been close to somebody who stood for election.
I disagree with you. I disagree.
All that I know is that the law that governs the work of the Electoral Commission.
People believe
at the end of
put up yourself and see. Tomorrow morning, put up yourself.
The amount of people that believe, don't let them stop.
That law says that every year political parties must file an annual report.
But they do.
Wait. No, they don't do. Wait. And then disclose their source of funding.
So, okay,
if the political parties do not do that, the EC should strike out the names of those political parties.
But some people have been struck out several times.
Oh, and the two main political parties.
We have been complying.
Oh, please, let's do a search at the EC.
I think the law's requirement, as I remember it, 25 days to elections, you're supposed to do that.
Exactly.
And then 6 months after election, you're supposed to bring your audited accounts and everything again.
Okay.
But we know the EC doesn't have time for these things.
I'm telling you.
It took Kofi Bentil, Ewua, and Co to go to court to get the EC to be compelled to do it. They didn't even do it because they didn't have time for it.
Have. The second thing I think we should look at is an amendment to the disclosure when you appointed public office. What was it called?
The
assets. Declaration of assets. That we should have that in a manner that everybody, it's not like it should be disclosed hidden only when there's a trouble.
You have succeeded in not talking about the substantive narrations by the EC.
No, but you said we should move away, and that is the point I'm trying to say.
The substantive allegations that he has made.
They are all allegations.
The political party situation.
Yes.
The biggest problem with that law is that it has to be cured. It says the party is the one to submit the accounts and the audits. The political parties, they don't fund their campaigns through the party. They fund it through the individual MP candidate or presidential candidate. So the law needs to change to target the individuals rather than the party.
That's what I'm saying, that we must look at addressing those grassroots, those problems that grow into what we are seeing now. Assuming that these allegations are made, sometimes you ask yourself, this 78 million, what does the person use it for? You ask yourself.
Okay.
So these amounts, definitely, if there's somebody in a political office who feels that he owes an obligation, listen, Mr. Haruna Eseku, may his soul rest in peace. I was young.
Kickback.
But I remember issues where he said, contractors must bring money, he must take them to the presidency to fund. He said it. And he lost his political position when they were going for the election as party chairman.
And you know that was truth, right?
I don't know, but I'm saying I was young, I heard it. And so you cannot wash away some of these things. If we do not address political funding, the asset declaration, and more importantly, we should stop being hypocrites. Let me finish that one. We should stop being hypocrites, Samson. We have members of parliament who said once that somebody had come to parliament to attempt to bribe MPs.
Yeah.
He was asked to disclose who. He said he will not.
He's being held around as a vocal and a champion anti-corruption person.
That is what I'm saying. We are
talking about Apia Akubi, right? What's the name? Yes.
Andy
Apia
Secondly, we have people who have said that they were bribed by a national security coordinator. Somebody offered bribe and whatever. And that they were going to disclose those matters. They never did. And so sometimes the people who are in public space advocating against these corrupt practices, when they are personally involved and have an opportunity to walk the talk, they do not.
And we don't punish them.
That is what I'm saying.
Even though Andiapia could be lost his elections, I'm not sure this was the reason he lost it.
If you look at
Professor Kofi Abochi joins us.
Yes,
Professor Kofi Abochi joins us.
Go to him, just 30
Yes,
seconds. You see,
you took half of my time.
I'm sorry. The declaration of assets. The declaration of assets. Why don't we promulgate a law? And when you declare, we go and verify.
That's what is in the new bill that Parliament is refusing to pass for how long? Over a decade. They won't pass it.
Talk about some of these things.
They won't pass it. So the citizens must march to that chamber and tell those people stand on them to pass it immediately the way we want it.
You spoke about finishing a criminal matter in 6 months.
Yes. Because they are enablers of the corruption. Professor Kofi Abochi, thank you very much. What's the intervention you want to make for us this morning?
Specifically on the question of the World Bank finding of $3 billion being the amount lost to corruption.
Okay.
I think the issue was a bit muddled between you yourself and your discussants, in which pressure we said that the bank was never lost and kind of accounted.
Your line is very terrible. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Better now.
So the point I was that World Bank was emphatic and clear about the fact that the $3 billion that is not accounted for every year is lost to corruption. It is corruption. It is not money.
Thank you very much, sir.
It lost to corruption. Now, you were right that the finding was made sometime about 50 years ago. And now, if you update, the thing have not, that we are clear with about 8 billion every year. Some like they have.
Unfortunately, the line is very terrible, but we thank you for the intervention. It was very useful that the World Bank report says this money that is lost every year in this country is lost to corruption. That's what it says. And now the figure is about 6 billion each year. It used to be 3 billion for over a decade. We kept saying so quickly in a minute before we go on the break.
That when it matters most, politicians always think of guarding themselves. I mean, with all due respect. You know that the election petition manual provided a means that when it comes to election petition, it should be completed within how many months? It's very there, so it's possible.
Of course.
It's possible. They have done it. That you can't just file interlocutory applications. They've done it. Yes. When it comes to electing president.
But there are even some judges who will tell you how long they want to.
So why can't we do that when it comes to dealing with corruption?
There are some judges who will tell you that.
That even though there is procedural fairness, it should be done within this.
Let me take a break and return to read your messages. And the law he's referring to, prior to 2020 elections, our law was that presidential election petitions will be heard expeditiously. Expedition took us 8 to 9 months, where we couldn't, we are trying a case for 9 months. And I'm proud that I was part of the team that did the research that led to the new rules. We went to Kenya. We didn't go far away. In Kenya, they do the election petition in 14 days. It is in their constitution. And then we decided that we'll give a timeline, not more than 45 days, and then we did it. We'll take a quick break. We'll return to continue to interrogate the matter from the angle of the president, meeting with the acting Chief Justice, the Attorney General, and the Auditor General, and getting promise that there will be set up special courts to, as it were, deal with infractions from the Auditor General's report. That's where a lot of the looting happens, but people don't get prosecuted and they get away with our monies. But I'm asking one question. What is new about that, really? We have the Economic and Financial Crimes Courts there. So what do we need special courts for? In Georgina Wood's time, she set up about 11 or 12 of these courts for the Auditor General's report to be used to prosecute. Guess what? About 3 years, not a single case had been presented before those courts. And then the special prosecutor and the extradition issue. a needless, public spot. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. And my guests you've been listening to so far, Joseph Dindiok-Penka, former Deputy Attorney General, Alexander Chum Barima, lawyer, Deputy Director General, Narcotics Control Commission. Bobby Bansing is lawyer and lecturer, Ghana School of Law. And my outfit is by Habil's Couture. You can find them at Ajiringano, opposite Villa David Estate. You can call them 0200 84 1988, 0200 84 1988, or just look for Habil's Couture on any of their social media handles, and they'll make you look really good. They've been sewing for some of your celebrities, if you didn't know. But if you go on their pages, you'll find that the program is brought to you by Bank of Africa. Charlie, Bank of Africa, strong as a group, close as a partner, MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *1655# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntax Tank is strong, it's tough. Activa International Insurance, our clients, our passion. International Facilities Management Association. They are proud to be associated with your most authoritative news analysis platform, Newsfile. Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. Valex Lease, your affordable documents management solution. Now, before I get back to my guests, let's share with you some of your comments. And Citizen Kwesi Hansby says corruption has a pungent smell, but it takes the nostrils of a patriotic citizen to detect it. The supposed looting is mind-blowing, and these are even minor state agencies. What is then happening at the Controller General, Cocoa Board, GRA, ports, ministries, etc.? You're asking the same question that Daniel Domlevo asked earlier. Daniel W.Y. Asari says, tell Mr. Penka, it is such reckless attempt to focus on form over substance, which has led us here. I sense fear in his voice. Thank God he's not in power anymore. Really? You don't really know Penka. Even when they were in government, he was blunt. The young magician says, you sometimes listen to some of the monies alleged to have been stolen by some erstwhile government officials and you cringe. What kind of wicked spirit possess these people when they are in government? The government should chase the low-hanging fruit like that of Sedinam Tamaklo as well. She has been convicted, and she's just supposed to be brought to the country to face jail time. And that's the problem now. Attila Kwejo Francis says, oral is about recovering the loot. As a Ghanaian, I care less about jail time and more about getting our money back. Locking people up without recovery changes nothing. The AG must focus on reclaiming the loot. Thank you. Hashtag Newsfile. This one says, please ask Bobby Banson and Honorable Penka how the Woyomi case was handled by the same AG department even before Woyomi was charged. Worse, that case became a political campaign matter when the matter was still pending in court. This kind of hypocrisy is abominable. A couple more of your messages, and I assure you we want to read as many of them as possible. This one says, the internal auditors do flag a lot of these infractions. The challenge is that they currently report to management of the very institutions they work with, who determine their remuneration, etc. There have been proposals for constitutional reforms, which I think the committee will recommend. Of course, Osai, Dr. why am I forgetting his name? Formerly of the Internal Audit, Odro Osai, very, very, vocal on that issue. It says, bro, this is exactly what Domilevo is talking about. Internal auditors have to have independence of the institutions they are affiliated with. This is coming from Enchibu Esiako. Frank Anderson Jr., sending us this from the United Kingdom. He says quite a bit, but let me read it. This money laundering scandal was facilitated by a regulated bank that failed to fulfill its basic legal and regulatory function. Banks, you mean? It did not raise a suspicious activity report to the authorities. That failure cannot be dismissed as an operational lapse when a firm subject to regulatory supervision neglects to report clear indicators of criminal activity. Senior managers who oversaw those controls must be treated as complicit. Thank you for that message. And Papa Bisu, Spintex Road, he says, another way the corrupt ones in position of trust mail the state and share with their friends and cronies is via judgment debts. On that note, IOCO must investigate various judgment debts via cancellation of government contracts in the past and pick out the corrupt ones. Papa Bisu, Spintex, Accra. This one from Edu. He says, we encourage crime in this country. How can you fight crime in a country that every crime is bailable and there are no time limits for trials in the name of democracy and justice? That's a huge joke. We have to declare a state of emergency on corruption. There might be one or two wrongfully convicted people, but that's what happens anywhere in all criminal justice systems. So we have to take care of them. George says, when Mahama says the whole country is a crime scene, people doubted him. Without prejudice to the presumed innocence of the suspects and accused persons, how could these persons be so merciless to the state? And what is Kwenka saying? Stealers. Let's say that loud. Musa Abatwa says, I'm quite impressed with the AG's encounter with the press. His detailed breakdown of the various corruption cases being pursued shows seriousness and commitment to justice. You know what other people are saying? That it puts the judges also alert that we are aware of the evidence. If the judges go and do some hunduous thing, we will not allow them. I wish the charges had been filed in court before the press briefing, because sometimes early public disclosure gives room for culprits to employ legal gymnastics to delay the process. My regards to Julius Debra. Okay, I'll read maybe last two. This one says, so when Penka was prosecuting people, was it because he believed in their guilt and followed the procedure of going to court to seek to affirm his belief? Thank you. Then finally, Angela says, it's about the amount of detail the AG gives in his press conference. That's what is the problem about procedural fairness. The DA in the US does it differently. They announce indictments. They don't say things like the people witnesses are singing. Okay, aligning our graft institutions, including the strong coordination of their data management systems, separating the Minister of Justice from AG, making the AG DPP head of the graft institutions, building legal policy and prosecutorial capacity, and reforming our corruption laws to reflect lifestyle audit and shift in burden of proof for unexplained wealth, transparent asset declaration. These measures would help, plus CSO watchdog roles. Thank you all for your messages. Sorry if I've not been able to read them. As you can see, time is running and our time is almost up. Now, what do you say? Before we go to the extradition matter of Ken Ofori-Atta, briefly, the thing about the Auditor General, the acting CJ, and the AG meeting with the President, who is in a hurry? Remember, he has said before that he wishes that we could use the military style to deal with corruption.
I disagree with you.
He's being promised special courts. What do you make of that thing?
I do not see anything wrong with the meeting. for lack of a better word. I mean, as the president, he's the ultimate person who wields...
The issue is about the promise of special courts.
Yes, but I think, I know that in GJ something, there's a court that when I pass by the building, I see State Recovery something court. Only
Economic and financial crimes.
No,
there are two.
Not that one. There's another
Georgina
one.
Mensah Dacha formerly was in one, and then Ifya Sare Sewaboche, very effective female judges.
Reverend Ampiaboni's court.
Okay.
You see the notice, the State Recovery something court.
Right.
I have seen it. Perhaps they may want to replicate it in other regions. Perhaps they may want to introduce an ally that would have the rules that would govern prosecuting these matters very swiftly. And if that is a result of the meeting between...
Is it about the lack of special courts?
No, I don't think... well, the lack of a special court, maybe dedicated courts.
Exactly.
Maybe the word should be dedicated courts.
Yes, that's it.
So that in those courts, they know that when they bring you, every day we will do it now because we don't do any other cases.
Yes.
Because if you look at the financial courts, they were doing, sometimes they will send land cases there and say that is what the system brought to us. But if it is a dedicated court,
dedicated ones, yes.
So instead of using the word special, I think that maybe it should be dedicated so that they know that that judge has special capacity training.
Very strong, no-nonsense judges like Ifya Sewaboche were compelling lawyers to do every day and do within times, and you, the same lawyers, were complaining, you know, that they were being forcing you to do things.
To use 1 hour to do a cross-examination.
Yes.
So maybe we can have dedicated courts, not only in Accra, maybe in all the regional...
Is it about dedicated courts or rules and trained judges for those specific cases?
I have made the point that when you have dedicated courts, you would make sure the judge who sits there has capacity in respect of those fields, and then you would have an ally that would regulate the conduct of those matters in those courts. So those three things, I think, should be done. The reason why it is good is that the same way we say justice must not only be done, but to be seen to be done. Manifestly done. When people are about to engage in criminal enterprise, and they know that once you are caught and there's prima facie evidence against you, it's a matter of weeks. There will be an outcome. They will think through, other than say, oh, we'll go through the normal process. We can delay the system. Like you said, when your the Auditor General said, you buy as much time until the next election cycle, hoping that when your party comes, they will...
I was referencing Georgina Wood's time. You know, in Parliament, they were shouting, we don't have this, we don't have that. I actually had to write an article to criticize them for being lousy. They were talking about laws that exist. They were talking about rules that exist to empower the Public Accounts Committee. Okay? They were talking about all of these. Meanwhile, all they needed was in place. CJ Wood set up about 11 or 12 of these courts to be dedicated to Auditor General's report cases. For 3 years and upwards, not a single such case was taken there. Is it about courts or it's about those who bring the cases?
That's about it. You have answered yourself. I think it's very clear that it's those who are bringing the cases who determine where it should go. If we do a dedicated court and then you go and send land cases to that particular court, we did it for purposes of fighting corruption, and you take land cases to that court and inundate them, how are they going to function?
That's what I'm saying.
How are they going to function? Yeah. Samson, I just wanted to add that, you see, I agree with you that justice delayed is justice denied. But also, let's not forget that justice rushed is justice crushed.
The flip side of that dictum is justice hurried is justice buried.
Yes, that's the point. So we must make sure that we balance that in our haste to look for justice. Remember that we have a legal dictum that says that it is better for 99 guilty persons to walk than for one innocent person
to be doing.
I mean, we are very much aware of these things. So in doing so, we should have to be very careful and extremely careful and that to ensure that the people who are guilty suffer for it.
But you agree that the system is slow.
Totally agree.
The system is inefficient to a large extent.
Why do you ask again? If we can have a criminal trial of causing financial loss to the state to last 7 years in the High Court, what else do you want me to say? 7 years in the High Court for financial loss to the state. And as you indicated, but why even? Why should it be the case that when there's a change of government, trial of cases will terminate? Why? So that we look for criminals or suspected criminals in governments that are not in power all the time. That's what we are going to do. Musical chairs. That's how I want to run the country. Anyway, the meeting you're talking about, the only problem I have with it is I'm looking at it from the lenses of Article 125, where the judiciary is independent and is supposed to exercise its functions without interference. And whether His Excellency the President, the head of the executive, meeting the judiciary and giving direction as to how, whether that is no interference.
He didn't give direction.
Yes.
But this has happened almost all the time.
I am not actually bothered about the history. I am looking at it that the judiciary should be allowed that independent mind to perform its function without interference from the executive.
This is not judging duty.
So
this
I think that
this is the administrative process.
So that's what I'm talking about.
So what's the interference about?
I'm not. You see, I think you haven't understood me. I'm about to land to say that, look, if the meeting is just about administrative sharing of ideas to perfect some wrongs and to make sure that there's expedition and for justice, I'm all for it. But we should not let the judiciary be at the call and beck of the executive arm of government. Otherwise, that would be very dangerous to our democracy. So I will say that, yes, it is good for us to do dedicated, specialized court and train, as you have indicated. I will want, as you rightly pointed out, no-nonsense judges. Look, if you mention the name Justice Afia Sewa,
yes.
I mean, it sends shivers down the spine of not only accused persons, but lawyers.
Yeah.
Even lawyers, you could not misbehave in that ladies' court.
Unnecessary agenda.
Absolutely.
The president told the judges who were just sworn in, the High Court judges who were just sworn in, unnecessary adjournments. He says for every case, every affidavit for every rate, you must see that it's a human life behind it. It is somebody who has lost their job. It's somebody who has their hope.
Oh, I agree with that. There's a case. I'm not going to mention the court. I went to court in July. All right, and we did all the processes. We did the CMC and everything. And we're supposed to start trial. The case was adjourned to March next year.
I had one like
March
that.
next
I had one like that. The person...
Yes, from July to March.
The person came all the way from Kumasi.
Yes.
Spent the weekend, and then we did good preparation for them to mount the box. We went to the court, say, judge is on vacation, and guess what? Adjourned to July of next year.
I mean, Bobby, can you imagine?
By his vacation is 1 year.
Just 2 days ago, I sent a junior to Kumasi. You fly them, they go, they come. Case adjourned because some lawyer has not done their work. Some court officers
they
have
filed
also
it, they
not
didn't
served.
serve.
They didn't serve. And money wasted, time wasted, everything. Yes, Chum.
Well, I think before I move into the issue of dedicated courts, I would like to rightly indicate that the oral prosecutions, the oral exercise was not a platform to pronounce people guilty. They only took complaints as assigned to them.
We have moved on from there.
From the president.
We have moved on from there.
I know, but I just want to, straighten something. And that it was not wrong for them to have received those complaints and then pass it on to the Auditor General. Because don't forget that before we...
Why are you going there? There's no questioning about that. So let's use our time profitably. Let's go to this subject now.
Well, this subject is very good. I mean, for having a dedicated court is something that for us, even with Narcotics Control Commission, we've called for. It's something that we believe that we should have. It will help our cases to be done swiftly, if possible. And also, it will also help us to have dedicated judges and trained judges for that matter who will understand what goes on with narcotics cases. And in this case, this Auditor General's case, judges will be possibly taken through some trainings of audits and some accounting principles, among other things, to understand what goes on if if an auditor says that this is an infraction and has cited A, B, C, D. It means this. Or if someone is cited to have misapplied money, what goes into that misapplication is this and that from the auditor's point of view. If the judges are giving all this kind of background trainings and they're handling cases of that nature, they'll be able to deal with it in the way that it's supposed to be dealt with, fairly and properly.
They get transfer left, right, center.
Yes, I'm coming there. That one too, I think is something that we have to look at, because if a judge is given a particular court and he or she is dealing with some set of cases, it is important that we allow him or her to flow, but not to truncate it in the course of time, and then somebody else will come in and sometimes you have no excuse them to just start the whole thing afresh. It delays trials, it delays the processes, and then sometimes you will find that things will even turn around to be different.
Loss of experience.
Exactly. Because the same witness will come back to the same court and enter the same witness box and will be giving different testimonies compared to what he or she had given earlier on. So having dedicated courts for Auditor General, referrals, narcotics cases, galamsey, among other things, is good. But the only thing is that the judges who will be going there, one, we should avoid this kind of transfers when they are in the course of doing trials. Again, we should avoid anything that will not bring them to speed with the cases. And the courts will also not be made redundant. We should not be giving them cases that is not, for that particular cause, like my colleague was saying, that a case for a financial court is giving land case. It doesn't add up. It's a financial court. So cases that should be going there should be financially related. We should not be mixing them up with other things. And before I realize the core motive behind setting up that particular court will be no more. So we should focus on whatever specific thing we have dedicated that court for. If it's for galamsey, then all the galamsey cases across the country should be going there. If it's for narcotics, all narcotics cases should be going there. If it's for Auditor General case, every year we get it. Every year. 2024 or so will be coming on, I think this year or next year. 2024 is next year, right? Yeah. 2024 case of audited report.
They've done it.
They've done it.
That's where they found that.
So one they are looking at now.
18 billion has been lost.
Exactly. So by the close of the year, they will be through with it at department level. And then the next thing is that those who are found culpable should be charged. And once they are charged, it should not delay in taking them to these dedicated courts. And the courts too, once the matters are taken there, the relevant things that they need, evidence, witnesses, whatever, should also be made available in due time.
Right.
So that the courts can have enough time to deal with them and then pass the appropriate sentence that we all wish to see.
The OSP also came up, apart from reviewing the charges for the Mustafa case to 50 plus, there was the issue of the Kenuforiata extradition. And now people say that was rather a needless, spat between the two of them, because eventually they seem to agree that they will do some things and then they will proceed with it. I'll start with you, Bobby.
Okay.
And starting with Bobby.
They're giving us a minute each, I think.
Starting with Bobby. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. What do you think?
No, these are two public state entities that are required to collaborate. If you look at, strictly speaking, the OSP, it's not so independent in some ways of the Attorney General.
The Attorney General says it's acknowledged the autonomy of the OSP. He said it at the
That's what I'm saying, in some ways. For example, the Attorney General cannot determine how the OSP will conduct its investigations, blah, blah, blah. But in some ways, the law also makes it subject to the...
Like extradition.
Office, and
only the AG can do it.
That can do it, because if you look at the Extradition Act, the time it was passed, even the mutual legal assistance law, it seems to suggest that the Attorney General, but of course, it should not be without necessary collaboration. And I'm happy that they've said that they are going to work together, which we expect that they should.
Is it a good excuse for the OSP to say, after they did the recent bust at the SML, they got more information they are working on? And that is holding them back, and they want to have a complete process.
Samson, the thing with extradition is that when you send a request, you must add the basis of your request. If it is granted based on that basis, and you bring the person here, you cannot change it. That is the thing with extradition. And so before you put in that request, you must be very sure that you have covered all, because you cannot amend it. That is what the law and the practice is. So I do not begrudge them saying they want to complete and cover all angles before they forward their basis for the extradition to the AG's office.
But this is a man they have put in jeopardy. They put a red notice on him. His movement has been curtailed. He doesn't have the freedom he should have been enjoying. And now we want to bring him, because you say you need him at all costs to face trial, because you don't want a situation like Sedinam's case, where you finish the trial, she runs away in the middle of the trial, you finish the trial, she's convicted, and she's nowhere to face jail. You have been preparing this all along.
Something like we keep saying, procedural fairness is equally important as substantive fairness. Perhaps at the time the OSP, I don't know, I've not seen the evidence, was issuing the red alerts, they had enough evidence to issue red alerts. But when it comes to extradition,
It's a different.
No other country than the United States of America. You must, for example, justify that it is not politically influenced. That is very key. And that is something that they can easily raise because he was appointed by a previous government. And you must make sure that when you bring him, you will not have room to amend the charges or add. That is why I believe that
Did you know about this aspect?
Oh yeah, it is, yes. Once they are surrounded based on that, and you bring him,
strictly
it has to be strictly according to that.
Yeah.
The extradition in the U.S. court would be done by the Department of Justice.
Based on the charges
that you sent to
And it will
them.
be done by the U.S. lawyers.
Yes.
Not our lawyers.
Yes, but they only add a covering note, more or less, to your charge. So they will show the document from the AG's office here,
Yeah.
having been notarized and everything, that we want him to go to Ghana because this is the charge. And they actually add a summary of all the evidence that they intend to rely on. All the evidence, they must add it so that when you come, you cannot alter it substantially.
Okay.
So I believe that is why they are taking their time to do it.
A summary of the evidence. So this has compelled me to go check the steps that are required. There are 12 different steps that are needed, what they call it a step-by-step Ghana requesting extradition from the U.S., how it is done. The OSP or whichever institution that wants must identify the fugitive. 2, then there must be verification and then charges. Then 3, there must be Interpol red notice. 4, there must be submission to the Attorney General.
Yes.
This is where we are. Submission to the Attorney General, where you have to have extradition packets, which is a copy of the arrest warrant issued by the Ghanaian court, which we have, a copy of the red notice issued by Interpol, which we have, a copy of the charge sheets, a statement of facts detailing the offense and supporting evidence, relevant statutory provisions to back the offenses, identification material, passport photographs, and any other supporting affidavit. This is where we are.
And when you come, you can't change it.
Yes.
You
Okay.
cannot.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
yeah, I share the same thing because at my end, we've done, I think, about twice of that thing. And interestingly, we go through the same process, but there's no way you can go, behind the AG.
So what's the purpose of this leak and trying to say the OSP was protecting Kenneth Oriata? What's the purpose of it?
You see,
Who said that?
That's the criticism.
Okay.
After the leak was done. The leak of the correspondence between the two.
In 5 seconds, what I would say is that the exchanges between the two institutions was absolutely needless and avoidable. That is what has given credence to all the speculations that we now have. It was needless. The collaboration could have been better done behind the scenes than coming public. And I think that's what has created, as if there's a rift between the AG and then the Office of Special Prosecution.
Okay, my production is calling me that the time is up, unfortunately. And thank you all very much. Thank you all very much. But I need to say this. We gave you pressure when the black voter issues came up and the problems we're discussing up and down. But when you successfully you finished the whole project and now you took control, we didn't say anything about it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Now,
but congratulations not to me. I think we must first congratulate Mr. Ibrahim Mahama.
Okay.
His vision, his tenacity. When things got tough, he could have just decided to give it up. And then Sir Sam Jonah.
Okay.
For essentially playing.
I've seen in some international press they are celebrating this, that the first one that the Ghanaian is assuming and taking over our resources. I'm Samson Lardy, Anyenini. Have a good afternoon.